Welcome to another We Made This sewing class. Today, Tintin will demonstrate how to make a child-size apron. You can also make an adult size by proportionally increasing the dimensions. You will be using 3 pattern pieces, 1 large body piece, a second square pocket piece, and an even smaller piece for the top of the apron. You will also use 1 piece of cotton fabric and 1/2-inch bias tape. For materials, you'll need scissors, a pen or pencil, and pins. Begin by folding the fabric in half and lying the side of the pattern that says fold along the fold. Trace the pattern onto your fabric and cut it out. You will do the same thing with the 2 smaller pattern pieces, lying each one against the next pattern so that you will have less cutting to do.
And again, fold this side.
There's 3 pieces.
Yeah.
What is that small piece that you do?
This is we put it in here.
Oh, okay.
Put it in. This is the packer.
Okay.
So already done, so we can cut at the same time. So it's so easy.
Now unfold the apron body and the small top piece and place their right sides together,
Okay.
lying the small piece at the top of the apron body.
We have to iron.
Be sure that the shorter side of the small piece is at the top and the longer side is at the bottom. This is how you will attach the 2 pieces later. Next, you will iron fold onto all of your pieces as follows. Tintin will demonstrate where each fold will go before ironing. First, iron a 1/4 inch fold at the bottom, and that's the long side of your small piece.
So it's around the long side. The long
okay.
side.
And do you iron it before you?
Yeah, I will iron.
Okay.
And the packer is the top. We had to fold 2 times.
And then for the pocket, you're going to make 1/4 inch double fold on one of the long sides of the pocket, just as Tintin is showing you here. So make 1/4 inch fold, and then again another 1/4 inch fold on top of that one. And you will do this only on one side. For the other 3 sides of the pocket, you will make 1 single 1/4 inch fold.
So this side is only 1 time. For the packer. Like that.
On the apron body piece, you will iron a double fold on the 2 sides and the bottom, or the hem, but not on the top.
Okay.
This is where the small piece will be attached. Here again, Tintin shows you how to iron your seams on each piece of the apron. After you've ironed the 3 sides of the pocket, you will then fold it in half and iron another seam straight down the middle. And this is going to help you determine where on the apron to place your pocket. Continue to iron the seams of the remaining pieces as Tintin demonstrated
Also,
earlier.
we had to fold one time. Only 3 sides.
After ironing the seams of the apron body, fold it in half both vertically
Center marker
and then
for
again horizontally.
They say you had to fold
And then mark,
the edge.
iron a seam
So
to
very
mark
straight.
where your
Okay, put
pocket
the
will later be
pocket in
placed.
center. Okay.
Place the small piece at the top of the apron, as you did before, and pin it down. You're going to sew these two pieces together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now, flip the small piece over the apron body, flatten the seams as best you can, and then fold that small piece and pin it in place near the seam you just sewed. Sew the double folded edge of the small piece down. This will create a narrow channel at the top of your apron. And then after this, you will sew down the folds on all 3 sides of the apron. Now, with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew down the double folded long edge of the pocket. Then place the pocket on top of the apron, right under the center horizontal fold that you created with the iron, making sure to line up the vertical folds and the horizontal folds of both pieces. And then pin your pocket in place. Fold the curve of the sleeve of the apron in half and mark the center point. You will do this on both sides of the apron. This is to help you determine where to place your bias tape. So now fold one 40-inch piece of bias tape in half and mark that center point as well. Align your center marks of both the tape and the apron and pin the bias tape onto the sleeve of the apron. Check to make sure that the fabric sits all the way inside the fold of the bias tape, or it will not be sewn on correctly. Also be sure that the shorter side of the bias tape fold is facing the top.
So again, the center of the bias tape aligned with the center of the sleeve area.
Note here again how the bias tape is not all the same size on both ends of the fold, so you want to make sure that the shorter side of the bias tape is facing the top of your apron and that the longer side is on the bottom. Next, you're going to sew the bias tape onto the apron, beginning with a lock stitch at one end of the tape. You could fold here, but it will be very bulky. So just start with a lock stitch on the edge and sew all the way down, attaching the tape to the apron sleeve in the middle. And be sure that your straight stitch is close to the open side of the bias tape. And use your fingers to slowly guide the tape as you feed it to the needle. You will follow these steps to attach the bias tape to both sides of your apron. Finally, you will sew the pocket onto the apron, beginning with the right side and leaving the top double folded edge open. Sew a straight seam around all three single folded edges of the pocket. Now divide this large pocket into two smaller ones by sewing down the middle, beginning at the bottom of the pocket and sewing towards the top. Be sure that this stitch lines up with the fold that you made with the iron earlier. Begin and end with a lock stitch. Trim off any loose threads and remove any remaining pins. Now, one thing it's important to note about the apron project is where you place the bias tape. You want to make sure that you start at the top, but that you also end at the bottom of the sleeve, right where Tintin's pointing. You don't want to go any further than that point, right there. We hope you've enjoyed this project and find that it's one you're able to use. We'll see you in class.